Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom, and why am I afraid? This is the week Saquon Barkley sets the NFL rushing record.
I hope Saquon Barkley looks like the Saquon Barkley that Penn State had when he was playing anybody that could stop him. But I hope that this is the week that we figure out if J.J. McCarthy is the future of this team.
I'm Reggie Wilson, sports director at Care 11. And it's time. It's time. I have not seen the Vikings beat the Eagles since I've been in Minnesota. Got to do it.
Julia Daniels, Care 11 sports reporter. Vikings are playing some games with the media giving them J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz. So, TBD.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
And it's our Care 11 Viking Squad Show on Wednesday. Welcome in. Glad you're with us. Streaming on Locked On Vikings. Also find us on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. We do this on Mondays, Thursdays, Care 11 crew on Wednesdays, and of course after the game as well. Viking Squad Show is everywhere on your Locked On Vikings channel that is nearest and dearest to you. You met Reggie, Julia, Ron Johnson. I'm Sam Ekstrom. We've got the keys to slowing Saquon. Well, getting healthier do the trick for the Vikings run defense. Plus, are the Eagles like the most fun team to beat outside of the division rivals? We'll debate that. If Carson Wentz starts, could this trigger a longer Carson Wentz run at quarterback if he gets a win? Plus, our Week 7 FanDuel locks all coming up on today's Viking Squad Show, and it's brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Julia, you talked about the word salad from KOC on Monday. Let's start there with the quarterback situation, because I think this is coming down to Friday at the earliest where we get some word about who's going to start this game. I thought the tea leaves said Wentz, that Wentz would start because of the way they're talking about slow playing this rehab with JJ, making sure he's healthy, making sure he strings practices together. It felt very Wentsy to me. Maybe it's also some subterfuge on KOC's part, trying to throw Nick Sirianni for a loop, playing some games with him. How did you read the tea leaves, Julia Daniels, about KOC's comments? And add on to that, if it is Wentz, if it's Wentz against his former team, could this be the start of a longer run for Carson Wentz if he gets a win?
I'm not shocked at Kevin O'Connell's politically correct answers at all. I think yes, you're right in saying that they want to keep the Eagles on their toes. I also am leaning towards it being Carson Wentz this week as well. And I do think, they let media out at practice, but they're going to be switching things up so much. They're going to have a quarterback carousel between J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz, I think, while media is allowed at practice. And so there's going to be like no inkling at all as to who it's going to be. I would say, Carson Wentz has kind of been in that situation, with Nick Foles where, if he gets a win over Philadelphia, it's like Reggie said, we have never witnessed the Vikings beat the Eagles. It seems to be one of those humps that they just can't get over in the season. And so I think if he plays outstanding versus the Eagles, then I could see him having a longer run at starter. I wouldn't say necessarily that they are going to go with him for the rest of the season, though. I do think I'm still banking on the fact that the Vikings are like, J.J. McCarthy is our guy. We invested in him. We drafted, like we talk about all the time when it comes to talking about whether he's ready or not. Because I do think that they know how valuable the experience is for him to be starting quarterback of this team. But I do think maybe they would give him some extra time. maybe they would feel comfortable letting him rehab a little bit longer. Should that be the case? Because, you know, high ankle sprains my dad's an orthopedic surgeon, and my sister had a high ankle sprain in high school. And I was always confused because, like, why is she in so much pain? She's such a drama queen. And my dad would tell me sometimes high ankle sprains can be worse to recover from than even just breaking your ankle clean. So it just depends. Obviously we don't know the severity of his high ankle sprain. We didn't even know he had torn all those ligaments in his knee when he was talking to us after that preseason game last year. So he's like hard to judge when it comes to where he's at in pain. But I wouldn't be surprised if Carson Wentz starts on Sunday, they beat the Eagles, that he starts for a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah. Two little letters for you. IR. If they suspected that this high ankle sprain was going to be a month-long recovery, you could have silenced a lot of questions and just put him on IR. And then no one would be asking. We wouldn't be having this debate. It would just be a question of J.J. McCarthy's health. And then he could practice without, people hovering around him, and there wouldn't be this week-to-week discussion. They chose not to IR him, which makes you assume that he's healthy enough to play within the 4 weeks, and then it's performance-based, or that he's had a setback with his recovery. Like that move, or lack thereof, I think caused a lot of this consternation. And Ron, we talked about this on your show yesterday, right? It's always the last taste in your mouth is the one that lingers. And if Carson Wentz stars in a win, if he is the game MVP against Philadelphia, you're not taking him out for the Chargers. You're playing him against the Chargers on Thursday night. And if he beats the Chargers, then all bets are off. Then J.J. McCarthy might be sitting there with a perfectly healthy ankle. You're not going to, with that taste in your mouth from Carson Wentz, I don't think you make a move.
Yeah, so when you think about that, with J.J. McCarthy as the last taste in your mouth, Carson Wentz, same thing. Neither of them have done enough to feel like, okay, it's your job. I think J.J. McCarthy is the future. But like Julia said, we don't know the extent of this injury. Like, high ankle sprains, a lot of times people always say you can't do anything worse to it. It still hurts, though. Like, it still hurts like crap every time he gets hit, every time he gets folded, every time he falls, every time he steps when he can't control. So when he can control his step, and I always say this about guys coming off an ACL injuries, when you can control it, you feel good. In the game, you can't control how your body moves, how it gets thrown around, how it gets bumped off its track. So who knows? Like, if he's playing the game controlled, meaning like he's not reacting, he's kind of like trying not to re-hurt his ankle, I don't know if they can go with him if it still hurts. And high ankle sprains honestly never heal. Like, you have to literally just rest for about 6 months for you to feel like, okay, this thing is healed. So right now it's more of, let's tape it up. Let's have some, pain management, see what happens, maybe shoot him up with a little Toradol, and then play in these next, 12 games. And if he doesn't look great, and this is the problem, the future is on him. If he doesn't look great, you're going to hear the boo birds, and then you're going to see Carson Wentz come in. If Carson Wentz gets hurt, now you got Max Brosmer. So there's a lot of consternation, I'd say, with Vikings fans about this quarterback situation. I think, honestly, like, as crazy as Vikings fans are, I think people would have rather the Vikings win and Carson Wentz look terrible so that they knew J.J. McCarthy would come in. Or even the record they have right now, 1-1 overseas, and Carson Wentz looked terrible. The problem is he didn't look terrible. He didn't look great, but he didn't look terrible. And so J.J. McCarthy in his last game looked horrible. And that's what you have to go off of. Against the Falcons, how did he look? He did not look good. It looked like the game was moving too fast. So is he the future, or should the Vikings have kept Sam Darnold, who's a top 5 quarterback right now?
Yeah, you got Darnold, you got Jones. Browning's been out there. Rippon's been start. You got a bunch of
Browning
former
looks
Vikings
terrible
out
though.
there.
Browning
Right. You don't
horrible.
want.
They got Joe Flacco in for him, and Shedeur Sanders' time is coming. Or Shedeur Sanders might be the backup or starting for Dylan Gabriel. So, yeah.
Reggie, it feels like QB purgatory right now. You've got 2 quarterbacks, but it feels like you have none because you're not committed strongly either way right now. It's not a place you want to be. Where are you at with this conundrum?
I just wonder deep down, is Kevin O'Connell, I don't know, because I feel like he's kind of a sicko, but I wonder, like, deep down, is he like, I thought I had this taken care of. I thought I had this figured out. I grabbed Carson Wentz right before the season started. Like, I bet on JJ. We didn't go with Aaron Rodgers. why am I doing this? And I think if you kind of read the tea leaves, and I was listening to Alec Lewis talk about this as well, but it's kind of like everything that Kevin O'Connell is saying and is not saying. And what he said at the presser, I feel like there's still benchmarks for JJ to clear before they really feel comfortable and confident in him moving forward. And what's tough is this injury just kind of provided a little bit of a way to like fully evaluate what he's doing. And exactly, Norris Forest, that is exactly where I was going. When Kevin O'Connell talks about the fundamentals and getting him back to where he was like in off-season program and in camp, as far as his footwork goes, you're like, should we not be here right now? And funny enough, Jonathan Grenard was on that stream yesterday, and he was just like, man, like we got the coaching to like he can't fail with the coaching that he has. But it's like, you know, he didn't play all last year. He got an early start on getting going in the offseason program. And Kevin O'Connell is talking about things that you would think would be not necessarily fixed right now because, you know, you're always trying to, you know, even last year as Darnold was winning games, he was like, yeah, just continue to trust my feet and my eyes. And Kevin is still talking about McCarthy and getting his fundamentals down and his footwork down. And I think that's a weird place to be in. And I think when you're talking about a quarterback who needs more development, but then you're talking about a team that needs to win now and that is built to win now, you think maybe Carson Wentz has the edge because of the things that the head coach is saying. But it's tough because it's like, this is a young quarterback that needs the reps, that needs to get on the field. And if he's not out there, if the ankle is good enough for him to be out there, but he's not out there because you're riding the hot hand or whatever you're doing, and you're saying that, you know, he still needs some more development, it's only stunting the growth moving forward. And you're just kicking the can down the road of like, oh, we still don't know what we have in this kid. We still need to figure out, you know, what we got. Granted, he is a young guy, but I just remember last year, and I think I was talking to Juju about this, but like, I don't think I've ever seen like a PR move like Jim Harbaugh did to really propel JJ McCarthy into the first round, because I don't know that there were a whole lot of people who were like, oh yeah, this guy's no doubt a first round pick. And then Jim Harbaugh was just like, yeah, you got to take this guy. Like he's a franchise changer and XYZ. But it's interesting because you take him in the top 10 of the draft. I don't think you think that he's as much of a developmental player as he is right now. I understand he had the injury, so he couldn't necessarily get a season of like getting that footwork down under his belt, but it just kind of feels like he's behind the eight ball for a team that wants to win now.
You see where Dart is at. You see where Nix was at last year. Like you see rookies perform like pretty readily in their first year. And that's what makes this a little bit disappointing. On the same token, he played one game on Monday night and had a comeback win in that game. And then he got hurt the next week. The sample size is still so small. And we just don't really know yet who he is. We still don't. We're still wondering. And you've got two opposing goals. You need JJ McCarthy to play, and you also need to win. And those two things are not necessarily aligned right now, and that's where the difficulty lies so much for the Vikings. We'll turn our gaze to the Eagles and Saquon Barkley and their struggling offense. Plus, are the Eagles the most fun team to beat in the NFL right now? That's coming up on the Squad Show. Brought to you by FanDuel. Vikings are home dogs on Sunday against the Eagles. I think that line's coming down. I heard it was at 1.5. Started at 2.5. But if you're a new customer and you want to boldly put $5 on the Vikings, if you win that, you can get $300 in bonus bets if you win. Bet 5, get 300. That's the promotion right now. If you get those 300, you can spread it across the app. You can put it on NBA early season starting next week. You got NHL, college football, all sorts of good stuff. Live wagering is a ton of fun. Same game parlays. You can multiply those winnings. And, of course, future bets, you can let those ride for months and enjoy that. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and get started with a $5 bet. Do it now. All right, Eagles week. Julia and Reggie saying that they have not seen an Eagles or a Vikings win over the Eagles in their time, and seems like that's been like the week 2 humbling game where the Vikings have gone to Philadelphia and laid an egg and fumbled the football, and Kirk Cousins throws picks. It has not been good especially in the Kevin O'Connell era against Philadelphia. Ron Johnson, right now Philadelphia has lost 2 in a row. Now you projected this big matchup, 6-0 Philadelphia, sprinting in here, Vikings off the bye, trying to hand them their first loss. Feels a little different now, doesn't it? Eagles are 4-2. They're as down as any team, in the NFL right now, and feuding internally, and their offense is in shambles, and Saquon Barkley is averaging like 3.4 yards per carry. It's just it's a different vibe when he's not running the football as well as he did last year. And it feels like if you can continue to slow him down, you're going to be in good shape. The question is, can they do it?
So I think the answer is the Eagles aren't always looking to run the ball anymore. And I think that's why it's throwing people off. Like, they are throwing the ball a lot more. A.J. Brown is complaining because they're throwing it, but they're not throwing it to him. And so we were trying to do a segment for the pregame show, but also Vikings.com. And I was working on it yesterday, working on it last night, worked on it a little bit this morning. And literally, as I'm going back and forth with Vikings PR and we're making sure the NFL is okay with how we're wording this, Jalen Hurts has only thrown 1 interception. He's had 1 bad play. Well, he's had 2. One was a deep ball that Devonta Smith was wide open, and he just airmailed him. Nobody in his face, nobody in the pocket, airmailed him. Now, A.J. Brown was kind of open. He could have took the easy shot, but he wanted to go for the home run ball, missed it. The interception, he probably should have went to A.J. Brown, and he threw the out route to Devonta Smith. Now, I don't know if that's a makeup, like, man, I'm sorry I missed you earlier. Let me get you in the end zone now. But A.J. Brown was wide open on the deep over, and he just throws an out route across his body. It honestly looked like the J.J. McCarthy pick 6 against the Bears. Same type of play across the field from one hash to the sideline, interception. The reason they aren't running the ball is because teams are putting everybody in the box. So they're like, look, if we're going to get man coverage, like the Giants gave them a ton of man coverage. And so they just threw the ball. And the Broncos, a lot of man coverage. Because they have the corners to do it, they threw the ball. They're like, look, why would we run into an 8-man box? Why would we run into a 7-man box? Let's throw the ball. Let's go 5 wides and throw the ball. So they are trusting Jalen Hurts a little bit more. I don't know if it's the media. I don't know if it's people talking crap about Jalen Hurts. I don't know what it is, but it feels like they're trying to force this MVP Jalen Hurts season. And he's doing well, but Saquon Barkley's being taken out of the offense at times. And so I say that to say the Vikings might not have to worry about stopping Saquon Barkley. Now, again, though, if anybody watched the Falcons game, I'm pretty sure the Eagles are like, look, man, like let's not get tricky. Like, AJ, I know you want to read books. Just read a book this week. We apologize. We're going to run the ball a little bit more against this Vikings defense and see if they can stop us because their gap integrity is not as sound as it should be. But they do have Blake Cashman coming back. So can they stop Saquon? Yeah, I think they can because they don't volume run him anymore. They don't give him 35 carries a game. It's more of let's see what Jalen Hurts can do. Let's get some people out this box and then let's run the ball. So I think they can stop him. But the other problem, Saquon Barkley catches the ball. Like he's kind of like a bigger version of the running back Bijan Robinson. And that's what the Vikings struggled. So I don't know. I really don't know if they can stop him, but I do know it's not just about him with this offense right now. They are throwing the ball around the field.
Saquon Barkley last year, 5 games where he didn't have 100 yards. This year, 6 games where he didn't have 100 yards. That's all the games. He's not had 100 yards this year, Reggie. And I remember seeing this back in 2013. Adrian Peterson coming off a 2,000-yard season. You always think it's going to continue. Like, outliers don't continue. When you have a historic run like Barkley had or like Peterson had, over 10 years ago, it's hard to repeat that. It's really hard to repeat. There's adjustments made, and it's going to be a battle of wills on Sunday. The Eagles have had a week and a half, right? They had the mini bye, so they're going to be recommitted to this rushing attack. The Vikings had a chance to look inward and identify their flaws in run defense. They might get their middle linebacker back. They might get their edge rusher back, and they're trying to bolster their run defense. It's going to be a battle of ideals. Who can enforce their will more in the run game, offensively or defensively? That feels like a major key.
Yeah, and I think I will counter what Ron said. And I believe, especially after these last two games, Sirianni went into that offensive meeting and was just like, you know what? We're going to rip up what we're doing. This is not who we are. Let's rip it up. Look at what the Vikings have done. They're giving up run yards to every team. They gave up 140 to the Browns. Let's run the ball. Let's run the rock. I think there's going to be an added effort and an added focus on running the ball. You got Saquon Barkley, put the ball in his hands. Let's get back to who we are. Let's get back to our identity and really challenge the Vikings defense. Like, okay, y'all had a bye week to adjust, to get a little bit healthier. Let's see if you can stop this run now. And I don't think coming into this season that was something that we were necessarily worried about with that Vikings defense, but it's definitely something that, gives you a level of concern now. And, to Brian Flores' credit, he talked yesterday. He said, it starts with him. Is he adjusting, good enough? Is he doing the right things? Is he putting the guys in the right positions to succeed? Like, he took onus of their struggles in the run game. And so I am interested to see how the Vikings respond, because if they come out here and make a concerted effort to run the ball and the Vikings are ready for it, then now you're looking at trying to be challenged through the air, and maybe going back to that same game plan that wasn't necessarily working. It's so interesting because, like, in those playoff games, Jalen Hurts, he's the man. Like, in that Super Bowl, he's the man. The last two Super Bowls that Jalen Hurts played in, he was the man. This year, I'm not really sure what's going on, why he can't, like, connect with his receivers like he did in those Super Bowls and in the playoffs, because, like, he's missing wide open guys. It just seems like he can't throw the deep ball. He's overthrowing guys that I didn't know could be overthrown. And it's not looking good. And then when you talk about the run game not really going anywhere, then you're like, okay, they have 4 straight tush pushes last week. What is that? What are we watching? And I've been a big proponent of the tush push. Like, hey, if you can't stop it, that's too bad. But, like, seeing them line up and do it 4 times was, 1, arrogant, and 2, just not good looking football. And so I'm interested to see how it looks, and if things just continue to start to unravel and the Vikings can take advantage.
It's called bully ball. Mike Tyson.
For sure.
Body blow, body blow, body blow. You can't stop it. You're going to fall and crumble. The one thing I will say, Reggie's right. I hope Sirianni doesn't realize that, because Saquon Barkley's had 1 game with more than 20 carries, and that was the Chiefs, and they beat one of the best teams in the NFL by beating the Chiefs by running the ball a little bit more. I hope he doesn't realize that. I hope he doesn't, because 6 carries for Saquon is nuts.
That's
6
crazy.
carries in a game. 6. And they lost. I hope he does that again. Please only give it to Saquon 6 times.
I hope there's a rule instituted to bar multiple tush pushes from taking place in a row. Then the officials will have a
You can
call
only
for
touch
that,
a tush one time.
a signal. Yeah, multiple tush pushes, 5 yards. Julia, well, what do you got in this game? What's the key to stopping Saquon, the Eagles, the run game?
Can you imagine? I'm just thinking about that referee call, though. Illegal. Too many tushes.
Too many
5
tushes
yards.
pushed. Oh my god!
Automatic first down.
I as somebody that has watched Jalen Hurts since I was 18 years old, and I told JT this when I was at work on Friday because he was saying something about this is just like, I don't understand what's going on with Jalen Hurts. Da, da, da. Guys, it's about time that Jalen Hurts slumped. Okay. This man got us to the national championship as a freshman, and then he got replaced in the national championship the next year because he could get the job done. It has been a recurring theme in his career that every 2 or 3 years he goes through this slump. And I don't know what it is, but I have watched this for almost 10 years now. I have watched him do this where he just goes through these ebbs and flows. And I genuinely think that is what we're looking at right now. You win a Super Bowl. Now it's time to slump a little bit. And it's almost like he has, this is me all just like theorizing this whole thing. But to me, just having watched it so many times, it's like he has to create his own motivation for himself in a way where it's like, I did so well. I am going to drop back down to this spot and then do not so great, motivate myself to get back up there again. Because his entire college career was that. He's the third string to start week 1, my freshman year in college. And then he comes in week 1. They go through 2 different quarterbacks before him, put him in. He comes back, he wins the game, becomes the starter for the rest of the season, takes us to the national championship. We don't win the national championship, but the next year he gets us through the season, which I understand Alabama were very spoiled, but he gets us through the season. We get to the national championship. He gets benched at halftime for Tua. And then the next year he wants to stay around because Steve Sarkisian is there and he respects what he does with quarterbacks. And so he sticks around and he stays. SEC championship game, Tua goes down, Jalen Hurts comes back and he's the hero, goes to Oklahoma and he's a Heisman finalist. It's just like something about this guy. He has to create his own motivation in a way. I just feel like that is what goes on with his career. And I think that athletes go through ebbs and flows, but I have seen this with Jalen Hurts up close and personal for a while now. And so I'm not surprised that he goes and wins a Super Bowl. He's the guy. And now he's going through a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover at this moment in time. So that's kind of my perspective on Jalen Hurts. As for Saquon Barkley, I do think that their offensive line is not what it was last year either. And that's obviously huge for a running back too. It's not the same as it was when they won a Super Bowl. And it's not the same as his incredible career season that he had last year. And that's something that's also going to, he's going to struggle with that too. And so maybe opportunity isn't there as well. But I do agree with Reggie in saying that, if you take a look at this Vikings defense and what their number one weakness is, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be trying to run the ball, especially if you have somebody like Saquon Barkley in your offense.
Got to get Cashman back on the field. Got to get Ben Ginkel back on the field. Harrison Smith's got to play more. They've been limiting his reps in the early season. And let's not forget, too, entirely new interior of the defensive line. And we like those pieces a lot, but they're not as big as they had last year, and they don't have as much time on task together. Jonathan Bullard was a great run stopper. Jerry Tillery was a gap filler. He didn't do a lot, but he was good against the run. So a lot of changes on the defense, a lot of injuries on the defense, all of that contributing to why they've struggled. And I think there's also reason to believe that if they get those pieces back, that they can improve. We lost Ron, technical issues. Hopefully he returns when we return. Actually, before Ron comes back, what about this question? Minute each. Are the Eagles the most satisfying team to beat in the NFC or the NFL right now, outside of your usual division rivals, Packers, Bears, Lions? Is there anything better than a win over the tush-pushing Eagles, Julia?
No, I'm a born and raised Cowboy fan, so no, there's not.
Well, you're biased.
I know, I'm biased, but I think Vikings fans feel the same way. I mean, it's been, like Reggie and I said, it's been so long since they've gotten a win over the Eagles. It's about time that they do it. Kick them while they're down. If you're going to take advantage of a team, I think, especially when it comes to Philadelphia, you have to do it right now. Also, just like the fan base itself is so obnoxious. I just can't deal with it. So anybody that's going to beat the Eagles, by all means. When the Super Bowl happened last year, I was like, I love Jalen Hurts, obviously, but if both teams could lose this game, I would be totally okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even though it's a different coach and a different team entirely from the team that knocked the Vikings off in the NFC Championship game, I think that there's still some resentment there from this fan base. I know that was before you got here, Reggie, but that hurt has, no pun intended, has lingered. And I think that it probably would feel better to beat the Eagles than, say, the Saints, who have been a nemesis over the years. The Cowboys, like Julia said, are everyone's nemesis, but I think the disdain burns strongest for this pesky Eagles team that's very brash and finds ways to win, and the tush push annoys people, and the fans are always chirping. I think all of that contributes to the Eagles being probably the most satisfying W.
Yeah. So, and since I've been here, you got the week 2 game in 2022, thrilling win over the Packers, KOC's debut. You're like, oh yeah, this is cool. And then boom, 24-7 on a short week, they lose. Don't even look like the same team. Then you go back to 2023. I think we all remember Justin Jefferson, touchdown, fumble, touchback. And you're like, come on. And then you got to go all the way back to October of 2019, the last time the Vikings beat the Eagles. And it actually was their second straight win. October of 2018, they beat the Eagles as well. And then you go back 4 straight they've not beat the Eagles in the playoffs. Eagles are 4-0 against the Vikings in the playoffs. Going back to that NFC Championship game, the thrill of the Minneapolis Miracle. And then boom, crushed by Philly to go to the Super Bowl. Like, this team is just like, that's the other than maybe the Lions recently and the Packers always, the Eagles are that team that you're like, we got to beat them. It has to happen, because this team just continues to take advantage of us again and again and again. And to your other point, Sam, I haven't seen the Vikings beat the Cowboys since I've been here either, but that's another story.
Ooh, yeah, Cooper Rush and Andy Dalton. They can't beat the backup quarterbacks. Ron, are the Eagles the most satisfying team to beat in the NFL?
NFC, right? They were just doing NFC.
Or yeah, either or. NFC, whole NFL. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, whole NFL, you got to beat the Chiefs. I mean, but they're not playing the Chiefs. So, I mean, for me, I would say Chiefs. But if you're looking at their schedule, I'd say, yeah, the Eagles are, just because they are, quote unquote, the team supposed to get there. I mean, honestly, no, I would say the Lions are. The most satisfying team to beat would be the Lions for me. Like, I think, like, you beat the Lions, you prove that you deserve to be in the Super Bowl. If the Lions walk in the US Bank Stadium, and if the Vikings go to Detroit, and both times they get absolutely destroyed, it just proves, like, even if they were to make it to the playoffs and play them in the NFC Championship game, the Lions are going to walk away with it. So for me, yes, the Eagles are one of those, but the Lions are another one, because the Lions, the last couple of years, have just proven that they are the king of the North, and they are, like, the lion is the king of the jungle. So I would say, yeah, I would have to go with the Lions for me personally. Like, I just think it's a team that nobody feels like they can beat right now.
Yeah, and certainly the division rival element adds to that. But, like, the Lions I would not have considered them a strong rival of the Vikings until these last few years, when now they have become really this target for the whole league to shoot for. They happen to be in your division, and I think it's added to the rivalry a lot in division, which is cool. Now I think the rivalry is strong with all 3 of your division opponents. Vikings have owned the Bears of late, but I still feel like there's a lot of emotion there, and of course the Packers. So it's cool. It's cool to be in the NFC North right now. When we come back, I want one player, the most important player to a victory on Sunday for the Vikings. That's next on the Squad Show.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Squad Show rolls on. Great lineup here on Locked On Vikings all week. We got the Squad Show tomorrow as well with Reef Hassan, Luke Braun, and Luke Inman. I'm asking this group, who's the most important Viking to a victory on Sunday? I need one name. I want Reggie Wilson to give me that name. Who you got?
The one name is the one name of the person who plays quarterback for the Vikings on Sunday. That's the most important player for the Vikings on Sunday, because they can't go and do anything without that quarterback playing well. And I think this will be a great litmus test to see where whoever starts is at, because that Eagles defense is tough. I think what's interesting, Quinyon Mitchell is questionable. So Justin Jefferson may have a day to feast again. So, he's obviously a quarterback's best friend. But the Vikings have all these weapons all over the field. And last night, well, I guess yesterday at the pressers, Wes Phillips was just like, the guy who's going to give us the best chance to win is the guy who distributes to all of these playmakers that we have and give them the ability to run after the catch and protect the football. That's who's going to give us the best chance to win. And it sounds simple because it is simple, but that's the game plan. Protect the football, pitch and catch to the playmakers, allow them to do what they do. And whoever gets the ball on Sunday, if they can do that, they'll be the most important player for the Vikings.
Ron, who do you think?
Most important player for the Vikings for me, I was going to go Christian Darrisaw. Like, I was kind of leaning there, just for the simple fact that when you think about this pass rush, and we don't know the quarterback, but I'm going to go quarterback. Like, one of them has to play good. But, between me, it's the left tackle and the quarterback. Those are the two. I think Justin Jefferson, we know who he is. We know who the receivers are. But I'm going with that. Darrisaw and the quarterbacks.
You two are looking at the offensive side of the ball. I'm looking at the return of injured players. I know Andrew Van Ginkel is such a game changer when he's on the field, and he's had a lot of issues from the shoulders up, injury-wise, neck, concussion. If he is able to play even 25, 30 snaps in this game, it feels like he'll make some splash plays happen. He's going to bat balls down. He's going to make a tackle for loss. He'll have a third down sack. These are just the kind of things that Gink does when Gink is in the game. And they've lacked that. Dallas Turner has been solid, but not splashy. There's not been a lot of wow stuff from Dallas Turner. Van Ginkel does the wow stuff. He gets the crowd charged up. He gets the defense charged up. He creates negative plays for the offense. He's a threat to intercept the ball at all times. He neutralizes the bubble screen because quarterbacks are afraid to throw over there because Gink is going to jump the route and take it to the house. I want Van Ginkel back on the field, and I don't know if it's a guarantee, but if Van Ginkel plays and suddenly Dallas Turner's back in a more comfortable role, and it just feels right when Van Ginkel is in there, those long flowing locks floating in the breeze. That's my guy on Sunday. Julia, who's yours?
I'm going to go Jordan Mason. Cam Scatterbo had 3 rushing touchdowns versus the Eagles this week. And I think Jordan Mason, unless the Eagles just decide to turn things around all of a sudden, I think that we're talking about the run defense of the Vikings. How about the Eagles too? They couldn't seem to stop the run versus the Giants. And so I think If they want to take advantage, I think maybe they should go in with a similar game plan to if Nick Sirianni's doing what Reggie said earlier. Run the ball. I think Jordan Mason has the opportunity to take advantage and have a really great game on Sunday. So I'm going to go Jordan Mason being explosive and securing the ball. Yes.
Quick aside off the running back mentioned there by Julia. So Aaron Jones could be back. We're not sure yet. If Jones returns, how much work are you giving him? I mean, is it like 50-50 with Mason, 25-75, 33-63? Like, Reggie, what would be your ratio for Jones off of not only what we've seen from Mason, knowing Jones' injury history, saving a little room for Xavier Scott as well? Like, how much are you actually going to play him?
Yeah, I would probably say 70-30, just to bring him along, and maybe ramp him up a little bit more. But probably 70-30, especially because, aside from the fumbles, I think Jordan Mason has proved that he can earn the lion's share of the carries and do some good things with it. Like when he touches the ball, like there's just some juice there. I remember a couple years ago when they will give the ball to Chandler, it just seems like he would just explode as soon as you put the ball in his hands. And we haven't seen that from Chandler in the years since. But then you put the ball in Jordan Mason's hands, like it looks different. And it feels different, and I think he's earned the right to get the bulk of the carries right now, especially as Jones kind of makes his way back from the hamstring injury. One thing I was going to mention too that we didn't talk about: no Zadarius Smith on Sunday because he just up and retired out of nowhere.
Such like a tease of a Vikings career. Like Zadarius Smith was unbelievable in 22, and then he was gone, and then he was bounced around and didn't seem too happy with Minnesota after he left. And yeah, just a weird, like a good 1 year and then a weird exit. And now he's out of the league. Ron, 30% Reggie says for Aaron Jones as his like workload. What would you give him if you were the head coach?
Ooh, I would. So honestly, I would try to get, and it's not just running the ball with Aaron Jones. He's a good pass receiver as well. I would find ways to get him and Jordan Mason on the field at the same time. You got to look at the multiple look sets. The same way the Eagles do Saquon Barkley, the same way the Falcons did with Bijan Robinson. I would start treating Aaron Jones like that as a pass receiving option to kind of say, I'm going to go two backs. I can run lead option with Mason as the lead blocker to Aaron Jones, or I can run play action. Aaron Jones leaks out. I throw it to him still. I can run screens with him. I'm going to go 50% of the time he should be on the field, like if not 60 to 70% of the time, if you're just putting him in the offense. I'm not saying run the ball. I'm just saying in the offense, he is a weapon. And when you put two running backs on the field, you actually get base packages. You get more linebackers out there, which feeds into what you want to do with Aaron Jones. You want to have a linebacker trying to run, whatever, 30, 40 yards down the field with him. And that's what happens with Bijan Robinson. A lot of teams go base, and then Bijan Robinson motions out, and then he gets lined up with a strong safety or somebody that can't cover him. And I think Aaron Jones, at the end of his career, is not as quick as Bijan, but still has that pass catching ability to be able to take it deep with a linebacker trying to chase.
Yeah, had that wheel route chemistry with J.J. McCarthy in week 1. So, Julia, you started this by saying Jordan Mason is the key. I think you're a Mason fan. I'm a Mason fan. I would personally keep Mason on the field the majority of the time, and not even exclusively because of Mason. I just don't trust the injury status of Aaron Jones or his ability to hold up if he gets a lot of work. So that's why I would keep him at a very modest number until late in the year. If you need to unleash him, go ahead. But I would hold off. I would ease him back in.
I 100% agree with that. That's I would probably go 60 to 70% Jordan Mason, just because all of the above of what you just said. You've got a guy coming off a hamstring injury, which are already, what's the right word I'm looking for? Tedious is not really a word. It's more so bothersome. And they can be bothered so easily again when you're coming back from that. I mean, I've only pulled my hamstring once and it was horrible for like 6 weeks. So can't imagine going out there and playing football after recovering from that. And how well recovered are you really in comparison to how bad you just want to get back out there? So, yeah, I would say 60 to 70% of the workload would go to Jordan Mason. And yeah, absolutely. Holding off until you really, really feel like you need Aaron Jones to be that 50-50 partner for Jordan Mason. Because at the same time, the Vikings are in a different position than a lot of teams are in having two explosive running backs in that sense. So yeah, hold off until you absolutely need the guy to be out there half the time, or if necessary more than that, because what if something happens to Jordan Mason too? You don't want to go ahead and run Aaron Jones into the ground if something were like that were to happen. So yeah, I would say 60 to 70% I would go Jordan Mason if Aaron Jones is back this week, even for the next few weeks.
And we end the show with FanDuel locks right after this. Brought to you today by Game Time. NFL season is here, and there's nothing better than being in the stadium, surrounded by fans, even surrounded by Eagles fans on Sunday at US Bank Stadium. There's probably going to be a lot of green, and that's okay because it makes for an even better atmosphere. Getting tickets can be a hassle, especially when you got opposing fan bases trying to scoop them up. There's login screens, there's prices changing at checkout. It can be frustrating, but Game Time's not. Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's fast, easy, backed by the Game Time guarantee. 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. That price to get in the door for Sunday at US Bank Stadium, $126. That includes fees. That's not going to change. That's a really good deal for a game of this caliber against the Super Bowl champs. That is a great deal, and I've noticed that price going down as the week has gone on. I think it was up around in the 200s. Now it's down like $100. So $126 to go see the Eagles game. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. So that $126 can go down even further. Again, terms apply. That's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. And after the bye week, FanDuel Locks is back. A reminder, Reggie, you're looking for your first FanDuel Locks win of the year. Ron Johnson, you're 2-3. Julia Daniels, 2-3. Sam Ekstrom, 2-3. So we'll try to get on some winning streaks here coming out of the bye week. We don't have official yardage totals up yet, but if you want to take a player blindly and say you want the over or you want the under, you can certainly do that as well. Let's start with Julia Daniels. Give me a FanDuel lock.
Ooh, okay. I'm going with, don't hate me, Vikings fans. To score first and lose, I'm going to go Vikings plus 340.
Now, you did the opposite in London. You took the Browns to score first and lose, and you cashed. So you're trying to keep that superstition going. All right, that's plus 340. Reggie Wilson.
Man, I'm so discouraged about this. And you see why I don't bet and why it's smart that Minnesota doesn't allow me to bet, because I would just lose all my money all the time, and I probably lose my marriage and my family, and it just be really bad. So, look, at this point, I don't have anything to lose but another week's wager. So I'll go first half winner. I'm going to say a tie, plus 800.
First half. He's gonna. This is what the degenerates do, Reggie. Trying to get it all back at once. Plus 800. just pouring it all in, trying to get that money made back.
I'll be over 5 next week.
FanDuel lock.
I'm keeping it simple. I'm gonna go first quarter total for the Vikings and the Eagles. 7.5, over 7.5 points in the first quarter. So I'm saying it's going to be an early explosion of a field goal and a touchdown, or maybe 3 field goals, but they're going to move the ball. One of the two teams are going to move the ball. So I'm going an easy. It's a plus 106, 7.5. I know they're banking on early defensive battles, but I think these teams are going to come out in the first quarter and put some points up.
All right, so that's total points in the first quarter. Combined. Yep. And you get plus money on it. So you just need a touchdown and a field goal in that first quarter.
Or safety. Give me a safety. Give me a touchdown and a safety. 3 field goals.
I don't hate that, because KOC had 2 weeks to think about his opening script, And Sirianni had 10 days to think about his opening script. Like, it better be a darn good opening script. There better be some motions, some play actions, some dudes running open. That better be a heck of a script on Sunday. So hammering that over in the first quarter. I am just going to blindly take whatever Saquon Barkley's over-under is for rushing yards. I'm going to take the over. I just think they're going to push the issue. I think they probably heard enough about why he's struggling. They've had a chance to talk about it. That's their identity. They are going to lean into it. So I'm guessing it's probably like in the 80s or 90s. I'm going to take the over. I think it's a 100-yard game for Saquon. Vikings are going to have to try to slow him down. Those are our FanDuel locks for the week, and that's your Viking Squad show for this Wednesday. It's back tomorrow with the Lukes and Arif Hassan, and I'm Sam Ekstrom. You met Reggie and Julia Daniels. They're on Care 11 News and Sports. Ron Johnson on the Ron Johnson Show. Thanks a lot to everyone who watched, listened, commented, and subscribed. We appreciate you, and we will talk to you next time on the Squad Show.